Hi, it's Matt. I'm a school-based occupational therapist, and I'd like to share with you some strategies from some common questions that teachers raise to me when they have concerns that their students aren't performing the way that they would like them to. And so I'd like to talk to you right now about some strategies about sensory breaks, actually. And so I'd just like to address something first before I give you some strategies, really, that if you have a sensory processing concern with a student or with students, you really should talk with your occupational therapist that works at your school, because sensory interventions really should be very individualized for your student. There should be some assessment that happens to determine whether or not there are some sensory processing weaknesses with your student, and then the interventions would be very individualized for that student. So I'm going to approach this question a little differently. I think most often when teachers ask me about sensory breaks, really they're doing so because either they're feeling like their students are not ready to work, or they have students most often who are very wiggly and are in constant motion. So I'd like to give you some strategies for that concern. So just in general, if your students are not ready to work, if they're wiggling a lot, it may just be that they need some more movement in their day. So we do know that kids are not moving nearly enough as they should, especially when we have them sitting for long periods of time at school doing work. They really need more and more opportunities to get up and move their bodies, use up some of that energy, and then just build some of that physical literacy that they need. So I'd like to give you some ideas for some movement breaks that you might employ with individual students or even with small groups, or you might even choose to do this with your whole class. So really you want to try to involve large muscle groups and large joints of the body. So you can do lots of things like just simple Simon Says games. You can do things that involve bearing weight through large joints of the body, using large joints, things like being on hands and knees, things like doing chair push-ups and pull-downs, where you reach down and you grab the seat of your chair and you lift your body off the chair and you hold that for a few seconds. You can even grab the bottom of the chair seat and pull yourself down into it really tightly. Things like isometric exercises, which is like pushing and pulling where there's no movement involved. So sometimes playing silly games like pretending there's a bug in your hands and putting your palms together and squishing the bug really tightly, and then hooking your fingers together and pulling hard to try to pull them apart, and even interlocking your fingers and putting them on your head, pushing down firmly, straight down on the top of the head. I've had students or classes of students get up and find a spot on the wall and do some really firm wall pushes, almost like pretending that the walls are too small, that the room has shrunk, and you want to push the walls out and make the room bigger. So you can do anything like that that involves heavy work, a lot of weight being borne through the large joints of the body. You can have those students stack chairs at the end of the day, or do other heavy work tasks like deliver the crate of books that needs to go back to the school library, or make a delivery to the office and have them pick something up and bring it back to your classroom. Some other things you might want to try, if it's not too distracting for the student, kids that are wiggly sometimes just need something to do with their hands. So if you can figure out a non-disruptive hand fidget for the student to try to use during class, like I said, as long as it's not too distracting, I would put some rules in place with your student for its proper use, so that it's not distracting, but that it actually helps with focus. Another strategy that I've tried with kids who are very wiggly or who move a lot, and that impacts their work completion, sometimes just offering them alternative positioning while they're completing work will allow them to move a little bit as long as they keep working. So if you want to offer some alternatives like kneeling tall at the table instead of using a seat. Some kids like to turn their chair around and straddle the seat and lean on the chair back, sort of sitting backwards in the seat. That often provides a little bit of different input than just sitting traditionally in a chair. You may also want to grab some clipboards and have the students work on the floor on their belly while using a clipboard, or any other sort of alternative seating. As long as they're still working, maybe just give them some alternative seating options. It might just give them enough of an opportunity to move while they're still working. So hopefully one or more of these strategies can be useful to you in your classroom setting. Please comment below if you have any other ideas.